24 hours of Le Mans is underway. The two Cadillacs on the front. Backing all the way down the Mulsanne straight.
All right, so in 1923, the Automobile Club de Lust decided that racing didn't actually show reliability. It just showed who was fastest, which honestly, it was just the people with the most amount of money. But what if you made it about who could drive the longest and therefore the most reliable car could come to be? How could we create something where instead of racing for maybe an hour or two, you race for a whole gosh darn day? Ladies and gentlemen, that is what the 24-hour of Le Mans was about. And over the better part of a century, it's gone from a race where you could only fix the car with the tools you brought in the trunk to a racing weekend that now has hosted 350,002 lunatics this year, the two being you and me. And in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you everything you can do behind the scenes at Le Mans. And we're going to be staying up absolutely all night. You and me, baby, as friends, platonically, because there's no better way to experience racing than when you're not shoulder to shoulder with stinkers. And to be fair, I do have something for you. So come back here, come pay attention, look at me. You looking? All right, here's what I have to show you. Okay, now that I have you back, that's gonna be playing randomly throughout the series of this video because I'm not entirely sure how long this thing is gonna be, but I got you back and that's what's really important. Now, our trip started off with a slight delay in Minneapolis where Delta had forgotten that bondo in the rain doesn't cure, which meant the aspergillosis or the mold, you know the mold fungus that you would get? That was in our hotel room. We might have to go to the hospital together, but it doesn't matter because we did find a cure once we actually got to France. We didn't find it until Saturday though because it came as an ear-piercing 6.5-liter V12 engine that comes screaming past you at 10,000 RPM at a regular medicated interval of 3 minutes and 33 seconds. But before the race begins, we need to know a few things. Number one, I'm not French, surprisingly, and any pronunciation of such French words will be unintentionally butchered. I can't help that because my Midwest accent can't fathom the fact that E's are like C's and the TH's in Barcelona is Barcelona. I thought it was just Barcelona. It's not, it's Barcelona. Now, number two, Michelin knows how to host, I'm not gonna lie. The level of hospitality they gave me this year made me feel like I show speed in China, but with less propaganda. So please keep that in mind, and I'm very thankful for this trip. And number three, we're only gonna be there for 48 hours because Delta completely screwed us for 64 of it. Delta, you gotta get your shit together. I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how you can notice that a wing on a plane has a hole in it until we're about to take. How do you not notice that earlier? It seems like an important part. The 24-hour Le Mans is held at the Circuit de la Sarthe. It combines both the Bugatti circuit, that is a permanent racetrack, with public roads on the back stretch that we all know called the Mulsanne Straight. Combined, the track runs 8.467 miles. It's one of the longest tracks in the world, hiding shortly behind the Nordschleife combo track that is also a Grand Prix track with the Nordschleife that you're gonna see at the 24-hour Nürburgring. And around every corner of this track, you'll find spots for tents and Porsches and, surprisingly, manufacturers, which is where our first stop was. We were stopping to Alpine, a French company that's 69 years old. Nice. We found a hypercar that was hiding in the corner, enjoyed our lukewarm sparkling water, as you should in France, and has been under the entire mission statement of sell just enough road cars so that we can go racing. And I and you, we needed a car because we were already 30 hours late to the party, which meant we needed something to catch up to everyone else. And so they gave me this. You see, at the track, these manufacturers host buildings for car lunches, team hosting, and occasionally they put up with people like us who need to politely catch up to the group that's 45 miles away in 25 minutes. But we've got a car that could do it, and this is good. ADHD check.
Wow.
The A110S is one of the closest feelings to an open-wheel car on the road that I can explain. It's mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, 7-speed automatic with a bigger turbo than the stock 110, and it only weighs 2,400 pounds with 300 horsepower on your toes, which feels fantastic. The engine is from a Renault-Nissan partnership, and it reminds me that Nissan could still make fun cars if they wanted to. The car drives like a child running away from a parent after it talks smack. It just gives everything. Now, did we catch up with the team? We absolutely did. We did illegally quick. I mean, we did it legally, of course, but on the way back, something really cool actually happened. Now, I suck at taking in moments. It's something that I've always just really been bad at. I just always have. So I did decide to peel off from the group heading back to the track to enjoy a few more miles with the charming French coupe. I just wanted to enjoy some time because you and I had been traveling for so long. So I pulled off onto a small back road and started to just take it all in. And that's when a boy in a bike pedaled up to me with his mom. And there wasn't a single bit of English transferred in this conversation. Just a kid who was really really excited to see this random car. So I decided if there was ever a time to figure it out, it was now. So I ushered him over, opened the door, and while probably flailing like an idiot to his mom with my hands, because I do that sometimes, I tried to ask if it was okay for him to sit inside, and she nodded yes. If this isn't proof that cars transcend like any language barrier, or any cultural differences, or any lifestyle variations, I don't know what does, okay? And that stop was probably one of the best moments of. But you and I eventually did need to get back, so we did, and made our way into the racetrack. ADHD check.
Good morning. Good morning. So this is my bed. Very nice. I had my Cheez-Its because when I stayed up for now 36 hours, I found myself a little hungry. Don't get any funny ideas. I didn't do anything silly to stay up this long. I think it's just sheer adrenaline.
So if you're new to endurance racing and WEC, let me teach you a few things that help me understand this convoluted mess that we will call the 24-hour of Le Mans. Now, Le Mans is bigger than most cities, which means regulations here are a bit different than anywhere else for racing. Full course yellows are rare, but slow zones aren't. There's over 3,000 miles that are covered in a 24-hour race, and the cars compete in 3 different classes: Hypercar, LMP2, and LMGT3. Hypercar has 2 regulation standards called LMH and LMDH, with the LMH being a more unrestricted regulation book, but requiring deeper pockets, and LMDH using a more regulated rulebook that tells folks what chassis they can use and what hybrid units can be utilized. And that helps with worldwide regulations like IMSA and WEC coming together to make it easier for manufacturers to jump in, which is why you're seeing companies like Michelin and Ford and Genesis Magma Racing jumping in, which, by the way, GMR has the hottest new hypercar I've ever seen. That's why it's getting really popular. And LMDH uses 4 different approved chassis manufacturers. LMH can use them as well. Let's do an ADHD check. Okay, so you got Dallara, Orica, Liger, Ligier, or Multimatic. Now, teams can still customize it a bit here, but not as much because of the worldwide regulations, because IMSA and WEC are trying to make a baby. Now, LMP2 cars use approved chassis as well, but they have greater restrictions on things, so consider that your spec series. And then finally, you have your LMGT3. That's like your GTD or GTD Pro class in IMSA. That's where you're gonna find the M cars, the AMGs, the road-going Ferraris, and things like that. So how do teams handle 24 hours of racing? That's a great question. You and I are actually gonna go learn about this by asking a friend over at the Porsche Penske paddock.
How many times a tour do a tire? Each lap takes 1,500 times because the car takes 4G on the first chicane, so it means the car is 1,000 kilos, so it's 4,000 kilos on brakes. So the tires are not even roll anymore. They are really good because they are Michelin. So it's the best tire ever.
Now, Penske may have been in the news, okay, for some tricky conversations lately, but their paddock tells me that they'd be able to sniff out if anybody dropped a stupid way to plug, that now would be a good time to subscribe if you like cars, motorsports, and sometimes car builds. Got him. That's all I can think of right now. I haven't slept. I still really haven't slept even though I'm back, but the Penske booth was immaculate. These places are like mansions, temporary mansions that are just built to rebuild cars. They bring 4 sets of every component of a car that they legally can, as long as they meet the weight requirements of their paddock space. Every Porsche in their series is denoted by a color on the wing and obviously a car number. It's all temporarily housed in this behemoth of a space. And the space uses every square inch it can. And honestly, it's bigger than any apartment I've ever lived in. Now, while I wasn't allowed to film the cars because the skirts were lifted, I did manage to see that the biggest myth about these cars is how big they actually are. They're tiny. They're teeny tiny. They're little babies without the body panels. If you can imagine a driver strapped to a 737 jet turbine with 4 wheels, that's what it looks like. ADHD check. The paddock space of Le Mans is at least 1,300 feet, or at least 4.5 football fields long, with 2 rows of them and tons of Michelin tires, about 18,000 of them over the entire week of racing. And every single one of those is being monitored, RFID'd, checked in, and some are even like cut open for analysis. But nothing prepared us for the amount of walking we'd have to do together. And the fact that we had 45 pounds of camera gear and a goal to stay up 24 hours meant that our ankles needed Jesus like a politician in 2025. So we took a rest, you and me, in a passenger seat of a 991 Porsche GTS for an 8-mile hot lap. Let's go. It's so much fun. I had no idea we were going to do this, and I never thought I'd have a chance to actually be in a car on this track. And I want to break down just how insane this track actually is. We will spend 70% of the time at full throttle for 4 minutes. We will go 190 miles an hour at the first chicane from the Mulsanne straight and brake down to 58 miles an hour just to make it around the corner. It will take us 20 27 seconds at wide open throttle to get from the Virage du Tetra Rouge to that chicane. And the sheer scale of this track cannot be seen on the ground by mortal eyes, unless you go up, which we did that too. The elevation change can't be seen from here, but it can be felt in here. The pitch of this track is insane. It just demands you to only drive full out throttle all the time, unless you want to be falling behind anyone on the straight. The straight itself is apparently where drivers rest at 200 miles an hour, and where you and I laughed like little schoolgirls the entire time because it felt like we were defying gravity. The track itself doesn't even feel like the hardest track in the world, really, until you realize that if a hypercar misses their braking zone by 0.3 seconds, they've lost 90 feet worth of threshold braking. And from up here, you could really see that this city is just built around this event. On the left side of the heli, it's like I'm looking at duplexes and Dacias just driving to the supermarket. And immediately on the other side, a Porsche 963 is defending against a red and yellow Ferrari, and the polarization of it felt like a movie set. And it only gets better because listening to the race start should cure anyone's depression. Le Mans is a magical place. It's a doorway into what I think every other track tries its best to emulate. It's a feeling that I wish everyone could experience. The elevation, the speed, the elegance that never really comes off as being posh, just inspirational. And the best place to capture that entire feeling is on a place called the Rolex Podium. Now, the Rolex Podium is where the tradition of celebrating with champagne started. This is the place that founded and ended the Le Mans start. A century of heritage that built the foundation of so many cars that we came to love. And we get to experience what the best drivers in the world will see in 16 hours from now, right now at sunset. But what do you do for the rest of the night? What can you do besides sleep, drink beer, or party? There has to be an end, right? There has to be a low. Well, you could go visit the chicane at night. You could grab some wine, listen to the roaring downshift of drivers as they count the seconds to the next corner because visibility is terrible. Or you could go on Facebook Marketplace and look for cars like I did. You can make a pit stop at Indianapolis to catch one of the best corners on track, or you could go on Facebook Marketplace to take a look at what's for sale. You could grab an espresso, or you could go on Facebook Marketplace and check what's for sale. Now, what I did is I checked that, and then I went to go hang out with AO Racing and go terrorize sleeping fans with Spike at 3 in the morning. Spike is one of 3 resurrected dinosaurs. I don't know if you know this. Roxy, Rexy, and Spike. A team that almost everyone should know by now from their IMSA career, but they're also in WEC as well. We had a chance to actually meet up with Gunnar Jeanette, the team principal, before the race to walk through the paddock. And while he seems a little bit busy at 3 a.m. grabbing pizza, Spike was not. Turns out Spike, actually pretty chill. I'd have a beer with him again if I could. Now, AO Racing by TF is the official team for their LMP2 category, and if this isn't the most accurate depiction of what a marketing department working versus other departments working actually looks like, I don't know what is. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. There is nothing more eye-opening or more incredible. There's these moments in your life that define who you are, right? Like the first time you take off your pants in front of somebody consensually. There's a time where you finally nail, a good proper drift. There's a time where you finally have built a car, you've modified a car, you've slammed it, the fitment's good, and you finally got it right. These are just canon moments that define who you are. Like when you accidentally buy a Volkswagen as your first car and now you're just part of a cult for the rest of your life. This moment right here of watching a endurance race at night, that is one of those moments. The only thing that's better than night racing is the sunrise. The morning moments at Le Mans are like my favorite. There's something special about feeling like you're the only one up, watching cars scream past every few seconds as your friends find any corner that they can commandeer for a few hours of rest. But not you, not me. We're staying up and we're enjoying why we're here. Number one, because Delta us. Number 2, to experience motorsport. That's more important, okay? To feel the hairs on your arm lift when you watch a pass or a car hit the gravel. It's what it's all about. It's what it's always been about. And to see new brands coming in makes me so happy. And there's no brand doing it better right now than Genesis Magma Racing. When we visited Spike at night, we got to go check out that car, but wanted to go take a look at it again with you. And what we saw was the 001, which is an LMDH hypercar for next year's Le Mans. But the engine is super interesting because it smashed 2 4-cylinder engines together. And to see this sponsored by the iconic Jackie Ickx, this is the same guy who 56 years ago chose to walk across the start line to protest the dangerous Le Mans start, is now spearheading a hypercar program with a company that's less than 10 years old. What? There's cars here powered by hydrogen. There's Michelin tires here that are 70% made of sustainable materials, and that's practically unheard of by anyone else in this marketplace. You've got brands changing perceptions out here, and we've gotten to experience this race now twice. There are thousands of stories being made here right now. Robert Kubik with his incredible story that I want to talk about in another video. Aston Martin and their completely unorthodox LMH hypercar that has a 6.5-liter V12 naturally aspirated engine. There is cars with 4 bolts that are missing that are going to disqualify the Ferrari number 50 from placing 4th, and so much more. And all of those moments, all of that heritage is happening right here, right now. And all of it was thanks to Michelin bringing me out and experiencing a Le Mans again. This is one of those things where I don't even know how to explain how excited I get, because frankly, I have no idea if this video is something anybody even wants to watch. But there is an emotion that happens when you go to these places. Like when we watched the sunrise of Daytona together just earlier this year, or when we're going to announce that we're going to be doing some really incredible stuff with Mazda later in the summer, or the fact that we got to go back to Le Mans and experience sunrise together and hang out with Spike and have fun. And even though we were only there for 48 hours, we got to experience so much of motorsport heritage that a lot of people won't. And I hope you had a chance to enjoy this one, and you'll have to let me know what your favorite part was. Now, we're going to be doing more videos about Le Mans because we have an absolute boatload of content. So if you have any questions or you want to see something else, let us know. But I'm AlexMartini. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe. Michelin USA, thank you so much for bringing me out, and Genesis Magma Racing, thank you so much for hosting me for a little bit of time, and I'm so sorry that I fell asleep on the train. I don't really want to talk about it, but we will see you later. Adios.